Good morning. It's Rob Ryder on June 23rd, 2022. And I want to spend a little time talking about traffic citations, dirty little secrets exposed in the vehicle code. I'm helping a couple of people with the vehicle code situations in Michigan. And I've talked about it before. If you were to go to my site on YouTube, right, Rob Ryder with three B's, ROBBB, RYDER, and go back to Signs of the Devil, they'd be the Esquires, are found in the details. And that'd be, the things they put on these documents that always have errors and omissions, not just traffic citations, but anything an Esquire touches has got an error in it. That's what they do. All right, they put errors, they make sure there's errors and omissions on official records so that we can never have any relief. They're very good at it, been at it a long time, and they've lulled us to sleep, and they, propaganda, yada, 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 goes on and on and on. But, basically, we've been invaded by Britain, right? Crown agents of Britain are Esquires, and they run our legal system. And they did not take an oath to the Constitution. They were supposed to, should have, but they didn't. They omitted it. That's what they do. Well, if you're not going to take, if the law says here's the oath you needed to take to satisfy the Constitution of the United States, and you don't take it, and nobody does anything, well, why would you follow any laws of the United States? And that's where we find ourselves, because we won't enforce the very first law that was ever created in the United States, which is 1 Stat 23, an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths. If you're not going to enforce it, well, then, don't try to enforce any of your other laws on the United States of America, right? Which is King George's jurisdiction, where the Esquires come from. All that is in the soup, right? And here we are. So I'm trying to protect and defend the Constitution. And I am Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Retluski, U.S. Army veteran, also known as Rob Ryder. My email address is courtofrecord@aol.com. And when we get done with this, you will see, now this is at least for Michigan, because that's my example I'm using, that this, lowercase probate court is the lowercase district court. But is it the proper case probate court? Or is it actually the family court or family division of the circuit court? Well, there's only one way to find out, because that's where the ticket was supposed to go to, right? So we need to chase down the ticket after it left the hands of the cop and went to his police chief. Okay, hang on a second. Let me get ready. Be right back. So this is our example, which I did talk about in the video that I showed, or that I referenced here just a little bit ago, right? And it's called the State of Michigan Uniform Law Citation, right? Keyword citation. And this is what they give you if you get a ticket in Michigan. So every state's going to have some version of this document. And then all these things that we're talking about are all going to be in your state's version of a vehicle code. Right? So if I Googled Michigan vehicle code, right, sure enough, if I hit this link right here, right, it'll take me to a PDF version and you can download it. And so if you're in Michigan, I suggest this is exactly what you do. You download a copy of the Michigan vehicle code, because then you can do word searches and find the sections I'm talking about and maybe, copy those pages out and go around and ask some questions to people to find out, how we make this work. Because I'm just showing you where it says it. I haven't actually got it to work yet, the relief, but I'm looking for the relief, and it has something to do with the vehicle code and the citation, right? That's the proof that we're not being taken to the de jure Michigan jurisdiction. We're being taken to this thing called State of Michigan jurisdiction, which is State of Michigan is in the United States of America. That's all part of King George's jurisdiction. But anyways, this is what our victim got issued, right? And See, now this was supposed to have been by a Michigan State Police. So he would be enforcing state law. And sure enough, he checked the box that said state law. But when you look at this, there's really no state laws that are properly cited. I mean, all of these numbers here 257, 301, 500.3102, 257, 256, right? Those all have corresponding sections in the Michigan Vehicle Code. But as a law, they're called MCL, Michigan Compiled Law, right here, MCL Cite. Michigan Compiled Law Citation would be MCL 257.301. Right? There's no MCL on here. So I don't know if this is, I wouldn't know without knowing this ahead of time. Is this a Michigan Compiled Law violation? Is it a ordinance violation, local ordinance violation, which can also be done by citation, or whatever a PAC code is, which I have no idea what that is. Right? But then each of these have a charge, and it goes down here, and it gives these offense codes, which, well, those aren't Michigan Compiled Law citations. So, I can't really say that this is saying that anybody violated a state law. But it's what they give you. Right? You're supposed to figure out what it is, apparently. And then it goes down and gives a court address, and it gives the 72nd District Court of Marine City. Well, there is no 72nd District Court in Michigan. The Michigan legislature only created one district court. Right? It doesn't have a bunch of different parts. There may be different judicial districts in the district court, but there's only one district court. So, they're sending you to the wrong court, basically, with this document. And it says on here, normally, you got to do it by a certain date. Does it have worse? Appearance, on or before 10 days. So, if this was being used properly, within 10 days of this having been issued, you needed to go and appear at the district court. It's not the 72nd District Court. It's either the probate court or the family division of the circuit court. Again, this is the way it looks. We'll get into where that is here in a second. But this was the original document, right? So, now we're going to go start looking at some compiled laws out of the vehicle code. And one of the things it'll say in there is that a citation, right, like this, had to have been approved by the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and some other people of the state, and that it can only be used for misdemeanors, which this is, misdemeanor, right? For misdemeanors whose jail time is less than 93 days. Well, if MCL 500.3102 is the one we're supposed to use, which is for no insurance, when you read that, it says that has a jail time of up to 1 year. So this couldn't have been put on here, right? It's not long enough. The only way you can be charged for this misdemeanor, then, is by a criminal complaint separate from the citation, because the citation's only good for misdemeanors up to 93 days. So there would have had to have been, for this to be lawfully done, there would have to have been a criminal complaint that's been filed also. It's just if it was, it's not been filed with the 72nd District Court of Marine City, because that's not a court of Michigan. In fact, if you take this phone number here, and I did this in the other video, and you go to Dun & Bradstreet, where you can search on Dun & Bradstreet numbers, right? And there's an option in there then to search by telephone number, and you put this telephone number in. It'll come up with the name of some other entity, like the Judiciary Courts of the state of Michigan or something like that, which is actually registered with Dun & Bradstreet as a business, and it's registered with the U.S. General Accounting Office as a business. Right? It's not the District Court of Michigan, created, by the under the guidelines of the Michigan legislature and the Michigan Constitution. Right? It's in a separate jurisdiction called State of Michigan. And so they're trying to get, our victim to answer into the State of Michigan's jurisdiction. In fact, they sent him a notice to appear, right, to go to the State of Michigan 72nd Judicial District. But, there's really no place on here where the name of the court shows up. So, what's going on? Well, let's take a look. So, hang on a second. Okay, so I believe Nate was trying to use some Native American licensing on his vehicle. So he didn't have regular plates on his vehicle. I mean, he had some reservations plates on his vehicle or something. So anyhow, so they're saying, that he was charged as a non-resident owner or registrant of a motor vehicle. But in here it says that a person convicted of a misdemeanor under this section shall be fined not less than $200, not more than $500, imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both. Okay, so obviously the section that he was charged with does say that it's a 1 year imprisonment for the violation. Now, there were some other documents involved in Nate's stop, which was he was arrested, right? Order for fingerprints, impounded his car, pretrial release order, right? So, he was arrested. Right? Offenses, statute, ordinance, citations. Well, it doesn't say which they are, because if it was a statute, there would be an MCL in front of it. If there was an ordinance, well, then you have to tell us what jurisdiction it is. So they're intentionally hiding, this very detailed information because the devil's in the details. Right? But so then if we go look at the Michigan Vehicle Code and say, well, arrest without warrant, because they didn't have a warrant to arrest him, but they did. Arraignment by magistrate or family division of the circuit court. Keep that in mind, right? We're talking about either a magistrate or family division of the circuit court. Well, does that mean it would be a magistrate of the family division of the circuit court? Right? I mean, where's the magistrate come from? What jurisdiction is he? I believe it's, saying it's the same jurisdiction. And that could then be somebody like who they have you go to see for child support. They got like a referee or something, right? Who's really just a magistrate, but they call him a referee. So, but that isn't where we go, right? They take you to this other thing called the 72nd District Court to see that magistrate. But in there it says, if a person is arrested without warrant for any of the following cases, the arrested person shall, without unreasonable delay, be arraigned by a magistrate who is nearest or most accessible within the judicial district, as provided by Section 13 of Chapter 4 of the Code of Criminal Procedures. Right? So, basically, you're supposed to appear. And then these are the reasons why. Well, a person arrested does not have in his or her immediate possession a valid operator's or chauffeur's license or a receipt described in 311A, right? If the arresting officer otherwise satisfactorily determined the identity of the person and the practicability of subsequent apprehension if the person fails to voluntarily appear before a designated magistrate or the family division of the circuit court as directed, the officer may release the person from custody with instructions to appear in court, given in the form of a citation as described in 728, right? So we'll be talking about the citation in a second. Because that's what they gave them, a citation, right? Citation books. Each police chief, including the state police, and each sheriff shall issue citation books to each police officer of the department whose duty it may or will include traffic duty or traffic law enforcement. Each police chief shall obtain a receipt from the officer to whom the citation book has been issued, upon a form created by the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the State Court Administrator, and the Director of the Department of State Police. All the people are working together. All right. Whom a citation book has been issued upon a form. Okay, so that's talking about the receipt for the citation book. We'll see that also the same people got involved to, okay the citation. So a citation defined as used in this act, citation means a complaint or notice upon which an officer shall record an occurrence involving one or more vehicle law violations by the person cited. Each citation shall be numbered consecutively and in a form determined by the Secretary of State, Attorney General, State Court Administrator, and the Department of State Police. All those people are responsible for the citation. The first copy is going to go to the local traffic enforcement agency, and the second or third copy, depending on if it's a misdemeanor or civil infraction, is going to go to the violator. Right, for purposes of this act, well, first of all, with the prior approval of the state officials enumerated in Section 1, the citation may be appropriately modified as to content or number of copies to accommodate law enforcement and local procedures or practices. Use of this citation for other than moving violations is optional. Okay, well, the one they use in Michigan's got like 6 different copies on it. So, did these people approve it or not? The people they're talking about here, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, State Court Administrator, right, and Director of the Department of State Police. We'll have to find out, but it doesn't matter because for the next part, for purposes of this act, a complaint signed by a police officer shall be treated as made under oath that the violation alleged in the complaint is either a civil infraction or a misdemeanor or ordinance violation for which the maximum permissible penalty does not exceed 93 days in jail or a fine. Or both. All right? Does not exceed 93 days in jail or a fine. So it seems to me if it has a fine, it seems to me they got to have, they can't use it for this. They would have to have a criminal complaint. But it doesn't matter. It's, one that we looked at was more than, 93 days, which is what I'm going to hang it on right now. 93 days in jail. Okay, well, Nate was charged for a misdemeanor of 1 year in jail. So it couldn't have been used for this, for his purposes. Okay, but continuing on. So preparation and contents of citation, arrest without warrant. When a person is arrested without warrant for a violation of the act, punishable as a misdemeanor, or ordinance substantially corresponding to the provisions of this act, punishable as a misdemeanor, under conditions not referred to in these particular sections, the arresting officer shall prepare as soon as possible and complete as possible an original and 3 copies of written citation to appear in court containing the name and address of the person, violation charged, time and place where a person shall appear in court. Okay, well, on the one they have, right, it says on here that they have him appearing. Right, in the 72nd District Court, Marine City. Well, then I don't believe that this is the proper document. It's got 6, pages, and they talk about only having 3. This says State of Michigan Uniform Law Citation, not Michigan Uniform Law Citation, which, the Michigan Department of State is the department that the Secretary of State is in. So, it's just more signs. We have 2 jurisdictions operating at the same time, and we're being led by the nose by Esquires into the wrong jurisdiction. So, continuing on. Okay, but here's what part I want to point out. So then it says the officer shall inform the offender of the violation and shall give the second copy of the citation to the alleged offender. If the arrested person demands, he or she shall be arraigned by a magistrate or probate court as provided in section 727. Well, in 727 it didn't call it a probate court. In 727 it talks about the family division of the circuit court. So is that the lowercase p probate court? Because there's also a thing called the county probate court in Michigan. Name of the county, like mine's Kent County Probate Court, right? Well, that would be uppercase P probate court. So, but it has to be one or the other. It's either the probate court now. I mean, this is the great thing. It's been narrowed down to who we're talking about. Well, it's either the family division of the circuit court that you're in, or it's the blank county probate court that you're in for the county that you're in. But it's not the 72nd District Court, Marine County. Okay, the officer shall inform the offender of the violation and shall give the second copy of the citation. Now, what was the second copy? That's for a misdemeanor. Okay, very good. So you've been given a misdemeanor. So I guess if you're being arrested, you're given the misdemeanor copy, right? Act punishable as a misdemeanor or ordinance substantially corresponding to these provisions. The place specified in the citation shall appear shall be before a magistrate or probate court within the county in which the violation charged is alleged to have been committed or who has jurisdiction of the violation. Well, again, that's not the 72nd District Court of Marine City. It's either the family division of the circuit court that Marine City is, in that judicial district of, or it's the probate court of the county that Marine City is within. That isn't where they're taking them. They don't where they take anybody. They take us to these numbered district courts, which, there's only one district court in Michigan. That's what the legislature passed. Okay, and then, now down to some meat and potatoes. So now the citation, delivery of copies to the police chief. At or before the completion of his or her duty, the police officer to whom a citation book has been issued, and who has recorded the occurrence of a vehicle law violation upon a citation shall deliver to his police chief or to the person authorized by the police chief to receive citations, all copies of such citation duly signed. The police chief or a person duly authorized by the police chief shall deposit the original of the citation with the court having jurisdiction over the offense not later than 3 days after the date of the citation, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. Within 3 days, he has to give it to the court. Now, I've known people who have gone to, they talked about going to court, like a day before their court case and been talking to the clerk, and they said, well, we don't have that here yet. Right? So it's like, well, how can it not be there yet if this says it has to be in 3 days? But again, it's because they have us going to the wrong court. Right? We're not going to the place that has the frickin' document because we were lied to on the citation. Or the citation we've been issued is really not the citation talked about in these laws, and therefore that has nothing to do with you whatsoever. Right? If you say that you're governed by the Michigan Vehicle Code. The citation shall be considered to have been deposited with the court as required under subsection 1 if the original of the citation is mailed not later than 2 days after the date of the citation as specified in this subsection. Mailing shall be accomplished by closing the original of the citation in a sealed envelope with first-class postage, fully prepaid, addressed to the court, and deposited in the envelope with the contents in the United States government mail. God, Somebody else had told me at one time that they were sitting outside of like the post office in their city for some reason, and next door is a court. Don't know which one it was, and they saw these envelopes being wheeled over from the court over um, to the mail, right? But then you hear about all this mail that never gets delivered, right? I mean, they find just bags of it places. They never say what it is. It wasn't delivered, but it was just never delivered. So, obviously you can see that as long as they put it into the mail, whether they did it properly or not, well, I put it in the mail, right? I did that. It doesn't matter if it was done properly or not, apparently, right? They can say that they comply with the law. So what we need to do is, it needs to be at the court. You need to go to the court and say, hey, do you have this ticket here? Now, right? Don't wait till the date it says on the court on your ticket, because they will have it then. As soon as you get it. Within 3 days, the court's supposed to have it. No, it doesn't say they have to. There's nothing on here that says that they had to fill out any registration to say that they mailed it. They just, saying they had to mail it. Although, I shouldn't say, and depositing the envelope and contents in the United States government mail. Well, not just first class mail then. Now this is government mail. Where's that at? Who has access to the United States government mail? If somebody gets the answer, be sure you send it to me. courtofrecord@aol.com. All right, if a citation is spoiled, mutilated, voided, it shall be endorsed with full explanation thereof by the police officer voiding the citation, and shall be accounted for to the police officer's police chief or an authorized designee of the police chief. Now, nothing in this act shall prevent a person other than a police officer from applying for a criminal complaint for a vehicle law violation, which is not a civil infraction. And that person need not show that the alleged offender has been issued a citation in connection with the offense. All right, so they could go through this whole process and then void out the citation, but use the information on there to request a criminal complaint, which is needed for a misdemeanor that has more than 1 year's, more than 93 days, right? You'd have to file for a criminal complaint. So is somebody filing for a criminal complaint, which is also done at the district court, which is technically the court that they talk about everywhere else in this act, except for these few places where they've now mentioned probate court and family division of the circuit court. But normally they call it the district court. So, if you have a ticket in Michigan, until we know exactly where it is, this is really for people who have problems today to solve. And if you solve it, you'll be solving it for lots of people, because you have to have the ticket, right? And a reason to go and do this. And so go to the family division of the circuit court and the county probate court and say, do you guys have a copy of this ticket? Copy this section of this law and go find out what happened to it. Right? If it, like in Nate's case, right, his has been issued by the state police, right? Michigan State Police Lapeer. He should call the Michigan State Police Lapeer and talk to the guy in charge there and say, hey, what court did you mail? What's the name of the court and the address that you mailed this ticket to in accordance with the Michigan Vehicle Code? You see what they tell you. Right? Tell them, look, it says in here that either it had to go to the probate court or to the, where did we see it? The family division of the circuit court. Where did you send the damn ticket to? And make them tell you. Okay, so just one more thing then, right? That the citation can be used, like it showed, for more than one thing. It can be used for state law. Where are those things at? It gives you 3 choices here. right? The person named above in violation of either a local ordinance, a state law, or an administrative rule. Check, 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 right? But whatever it is, right, if the citation has been issued for any of those reasons, right, then it gets delivered to the police chief, and within X number of days, the police chief has to send it to the court. Okay, so that's simple enough. So we've, now what we looked at first was, well, a misdemeanor, and specifically a misdemeanor more than 93 days. Right, citation, what it's defined, and for purposes of this act, complaint signed by a police officer shall be treated as made under oath if the violation alleged in the complaint is either a civil infraction or a misdemeanor or ordinance violation for which the maximum permissible penalty does not exceed 93 days in jail. Right, so all those things it can be used for. But other than that, then, if it's more than 93 days, then there has to be a criminal complaint that's filed. And over here on the type, right, if it was a civil infraction, they would have checked, this C/I. But they didn't. They on this one, it's all misdemeanors. All right, but there is times when it's just a civil infraction. Well, civil infraction action as civil action, commencement, plaintiff, jurisdiction, time, place, appearance. A civil infraction action is a civil action in which the defendant is alleged to be responsible for a civil infraction. A civil infraction action is commenced upon the issuance and service of a citation as provided in 742. Okay, well, that's what we looked at, and you got the 7. If you have a citation issued, then it had to, go through the process where the police chief has sent it on to the court. The plaintiff in a civil infraction action shall be either the state if alleged civil infraction is a violation of this act, or political subdivision if alleged civil infraction is a violation of the local ordinance. Following courts have jurisdiction over civil infraction actions, the district court or any municipal court. Well, the thing is, they have that in here, but in Michigan, the municipal courts have all been abolished. I should probably go find that act real quick. Yeah, MCL 600 9930, effective 1971. All municipal courts which were not abolished by 9921, Section 9921, due to action of municipal governing bodies pursuant to provisions of 9928, are abolished. Okay, so there was an earlier act that abolished most of them, and then some of these municipal governing bodies, I think it was like the city of Detroit, they had to do something else whether they could get rid of theirs. But then they've all been abolished. So the district court shall function in those districts in which the municipal courts were retained under 9928, except as otherwise provided in Section 8. District judge have, So they're going to have to prove to you that there's a municipal court. Otherwise, it has to be the district court, of which there's only one. Okay, so the place specified in the citation for appearance shall be the court listed in subsection 2, right? Either the district court or the municipal court, which has territorial jurisdiction of the place where the civil infraction occurred. Okay, well, there's only one district court and there's no municipal court, so it had to be the district court. Which means, that this citation would have had to have been sent to whatever they're calling the district court by the police chief. There's, a citation for civil infractions instead of a citation for misdemeanors, but it's still a citation for, on a citation form. Okay. Issuing a citation for civil infraction, issuing a citation to driver, a motor vehicle, form a citation, on and on and on. This is MCL 757.742. So if you're in Michigan, and you got a ticket, you should be going and looking at these things yourself and, get it straight in your head. So a police officer who witnesses a person violating this act or a local ordinance may stop the person, detain the person, temporary purpose of Making a record of vehicle check and prepare and subscribe as soon as possible and complete as possible. Hey, the citation, which shall be noticed to appear for one or more civil, civil infractions. If a police officer, village officer, county, or a police officer who is an authorized agent of a county road commission witnesses a person violating this act or local ordinances, yeah, they can do it too. A police officer may issue a citation to a person who is a driver of a motor vehicle involved in an accident when, based on personal investigation, the officer has reasonable cause to believe the person is responsible for a civil infraction in connection with the accident. Okay, so we need to, you really have to go through this act and say, well, these are all civil infractions and these ones over here are misdemeanors. See what they're talking about, I guess. But the form of citation issued for 1, 2, and 3 shall be as prescribed in 727C, which is the one we read earlier. And then this other one, 743, right? Contents. Issued pursuant to 742, the one just before, shall contain the name of the state, political subdivision, acting as plaintiff, name and address, the person whom the citation is issued, civil infraction alleged, place where this person shall appear in court, telephone number of the court, the time at which the appearance of the court is made. Citation shall inform the defendant of the effect that he or she at or by the time specified for an appearance may. So again, in this one, it said to make an appearance within 10 days. Right? Appearance date on or before 10 days. Okay. So what may he do? Admit responsibility, deny responsibility, appear in person for an informal hearing before a district court magistrate or judge without the opportunity of being represented by an attorney. Appearing in court for a formal hearing before a judge with the opportunity of being represented by an attorney. So you can either admit or you can appear on or before 10 days. If you don't do it, well, then you're going to be late. Right? That a person, the failure of a person to appear within the time specified in the citation at the time scheduled for a hearing or appearance will result in entry of a default judgment against the person and immediate suspension of the person's operator's and chauffeur's license. So you don't appear to the right court within the time specified, they're going to say it was failure to appear and take your driver's license. And all I'm saying is that whatever they did has nothing to do with this court here, because this isn't the district court they're talking about. They got you going to the wrong fucking court. So there's something really going on in the background that, we need to expose more fully. But this is how it's done, is figuring out where they had, because the police chief had to send the citation somewhere. So where'd you send it, police chief? What's the name of the court? And then go to that court and see if they got it and say, well, the police chief said he sent it to you. Or go to the court with your copy and say, did you get a copy of this yet? Okay, just a couple more sections then. If an officer issues a citation under 742 for a civil infraction, right? Not for a misdemeanor, but a civil infraction. Or if the citation issued under 742 is parking or standing, the court may accept admission with explanation of an admission or denial of responsibility upon citation without necessity of a sworn complaint. Right? If the person denies responsibility for the civil infraction, further proceedings shall not be had until a sworn complaint has been filed with the court. So go there and say that you deny responsibility. But they have to, the court already has to have the infraction. This is the thing. I don't think you're going to go there and find that the court has got the copies of this ticket There's supposed to be 3 copies of this. One goes to the court or goes to the police chief who sends it to the court. And then either the misdemeanor one uh, or the civil infraction one goes to the defendant. So where's the one for the court? Because a police officer knowingly the statement is false makes a materially false statement in a citation issued under 742 is guilty of perjury, a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 15 years. That's 15 years, and in addition, is in contempt of court. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. A person whom a citation is issued under 742 shall appear by or at the time specified in the citation and may respond to the allegations in the citation as provided in this section. Right? Wishes to admit. If you want to admit, you can read those. I don't want to admit. I don't want to appear by mail. By contacting the court in person, by mail, by telephone, or representation to obtain from the court a scheduled date and time to appear, at which time the appear in person or by representation. Right? But if you're well, you got 2 ways. You could do it by mail, right? But if you mail it to the place they told you, you're not mailing it to the court they're talking about. And the court being talked about in the law isn't the one that's mentioned on the frickin' ticket. So you can't mail it to that address. You need to figure out which court it is. Okay, but this is really the one. If the person wishes to deny responsibility for the civil infraction, the person shall do so by appearing at an informal hearing or formal hearing, unless the hearing date is specified in the citation. The person shall contact the court in person, by representation, by mail, or by telephone, and obtain a schedule and time to appear for an informal or formal hearing, which is really what you want to do. An informal hearing shall be conducted by district court magistrate when authorized by a judge or judges of the district court. By the district court district. By judges of the district court district or by judge of the court listed in 741-2, which was, that was the district court or the municipal court. But we don't have any municipal courts, according to the legislation. A district court magistrate may administer oaths, examine witnesses, make findings of fact, conclusions of law in a formal hearing. Okay, so that's where we're headed with this, right? That's all I have so far because we haven't done this. But what I want to show is what may need to be done to get there, with the hope that others than myself can put some time into trying to get this done if you have the ticket, because I can't do it for you. Right? But, out of all this, one of these most important parts to remember, and I want to go back to it, so hang on, is this part right here. MCL 257-728A. Citation, delivery of copies to the police chief. At or before the completion of his or her tour duties, that'd be that same frickin' day, a police officer to whom a citation book has been issued and who has recorded the occurrence of a vehicle law violation upon a citation shall deliver to his or her police chief or to the person authorized by the police chief to receive citations, all copies of such citation duly signed. The police chief or a person duly authorized by the police chief shall deposit the original of the citation with the court having jurisdiction over the offense not later than 3 days after the date of the citation, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, so 3 work days. That citation shall be considered to have been deposited with the court as required under subsection 1 if the original of the citation is mailed not later than 2 days after the date of the citation, as specified under this subsection. Mailing shall be accomplished by closing the original of the citation in a sealed envelope, first class postage fully prepaid, addressed to the court, and depositing the envelope and contents in the United States government mail. That's what we really want to see. Chief, I want to see an envelope that you put these citations into when you use the United States government mail to mail it. Because it'd be some kind of official business envelope. It's not a letter, right? It's official business. If a citation is spoiled, mutilated, or voided, it shall be endorsed with the full explanation thereof by the police officer of voiding the citation, and shall be accounted for to the police officer's police chief or an authorized designee of the police chief. Nothing in this act shall prevent a person other than a police officer from applying for a criminal complaint or a vehicle law violation, which is not a civil infraction, and that person need not show that the alleged offender has been issued a citation in connection with the offense. That part we need to have for us, because we could do this, right? If we knew where to apply for a criminal complaint, we could go do it. It wouldn't have to be for a vehicle law violation. It could be for any violation, for a misdemeanor, right? That's what criminal complaints are for. They have a whole section in the Michigan law about, filing for a criminal complaint. And it says the district court. But I've tried to do it with the thing that, like my 63rd district court, it hasn't worked. So either it's the family division of the circuit court that I'm in, or it's the Kent County probate court is where you apply for these complaints. At least that's what I believe today, and I'm going to go try to make happen. Family division of the circuit court. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. I was really doing this for Nate because, it's hard to explain this stuff in an email. So I said I'll do a video and send it to him, or do a video, and he can watch the video, and then we can discuss it. And he can go down and figure out who he needs to talk to, to get this thing figured out. Or anybody else that has a frickin' state of Michigan uniform law citation issued to them. Well, very good. I'm going to leave it there. You all have a great day, and I hope you found it useful. I'll talk to you later.